Everyone seems to make the same handful of mistakes when they're trying to achieve a lean physique. And I'm not even talking about trying to get shredded here. If you even want to hit 15% body fat with some barely visible abs, then here are 9 things you're going to want to avoid. The very first one is so common for those of us with busy lifestyles, people who work a lot or have families. By the way, if you've never seen my videos before, my name is Matteo. I've lost 50 pounds now twice in my life, and I've spent the last 7 or 8 years helping guys get in shape and lose fat using a simplified approach to nutrition and training. If you've seen my videos before, then welcome back. Let's jump right into this first one. Regular dieting for fat loss is basically like going on a road trip. It's not all that difficult, but it's time consuming. Every once in a while, you need to look down and check the GPS to make sure you're moving in the right direction. You need to maybe drink a little extra coffee to keep you alert and energized throughout the process. And eventually you'll arrive where you want to go. But if you're dealing with high stress and a generally unstable life environment, that changes things. You're no longer just going on this relaxing road trip. Now you're driving a rickety old van full of nitroglycerin, and there's potholes everywhere, you're next to a cliff's edge, and there's a live Tasmanian devil in the passenger seat next to you that's possessed by the soul of Lucifer himself. You're screaming, and if you crash that van, it's gonna explode, you're dead, and people are picking up pieces of your gooch 2 miles away, which is 3.2 kilometers for the folks who use metric. So you want to do your best to just manage your overall life stress when you're dieting for fat loss. Try and just chill out in the evening. Take some deep breaths, read a book, spend some time with your partner, and just generally try not to take on too much in your personal life or at work during your diets. Go for long walks, hire help around the house, and do whatever you can to just bring yourself back to a peaceful mind state so you're not having this extra stressor that makes the whole dieting process so much harder. The second one I see is super common in folks who are struggling to lose weight. They get home from work in the evening, they start watching a movie, and then before you know it, it's this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde episode where one second you're watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and then the next second you wake up, you're covered in 3 types of shame glaze, and you're just encrusted in Cheeto dust, and you feel ashamed for binging on all this junk food that you have in the house. And if you're wondering how I know what this feels like, it's because I've been there too. And I find there's really 4 main things that lead to this problem, each with their own unique solution. Firstly, really steep diets where you drive your calorie targets super low, drive hunger super high, which makes it easy to go all out and binge in the evenings. So play it smart with your targets. Secondly, if you put too much food early in the day, then you have next to no food remaining for the evening. And if you just get to the evening time and you only have 400 calories left for dinner, it's no wonder you're feeling so hungry. So just go a little bit lighter on your breakfast and even your lunch, especially if you're just working in the middle of the day and you're focused on other stuff. Save some of that food for later and give yourself a good meal in the evening so you don't have to reach for snacks. Thirdly, you probably don't want to restrict your food choices too strictly. Sure, eating healthy is great, but restriction begets temptation. If you're always telling yourself that you just can't have Oreos, that's all you're probably going to be thinking about. So just allow those things in there in moderation. As long as you track it, hit your calorie goals, you're good to go. And lastly, you might just need to chill the fuck out in the evening, but we'll talk more about that later. This third mistake is something I see commonly in guys who are just chronic dieters, who have just seemed to gain and lose the same 20 or 25 pounds for the majority of their adult life. It's this all or nothing approach. When things don't go perfectly for a meal and you miss a workout or a day doesn't go great, then you just throw in the towel and all bets are off, and it's just this fuck it mentality where you just decide the rest of the diet isn't gonna happen anymore because one meal went poorly. And I want to tackle this both from the logical standpoint, and then we'll talk about the emotional standpoint. I think both are beneficial. Most people are really good at dealing with either one or the other, but until you master both, I think a lot of people are just not going to see the success they want with weight loss. Like if you're just a cold-blooded, logical accountant who knows exactly what calories and macros to eat every day to see a target rate of weight loss week over week, that's dope. But if you get frustrated and overwhelmed when things don't perfectly fit your mold, and then you get all upset and just fall off the wagon because of it, that's a problem. Same thing goes for the person who's highly sensitive and attuned to their emotional state, who can sense when they're getting anxious, overwhelmed, or maybe a little bit frustrated, and they can bring themselves back down to a calm place. That's awesome. That's a superpower. But if that person can't tap into just that fucking brutal mindset where you're just pushing through even though you don't feel like doing it, you'll probably eventually give up and lose. Anyways, let's tackle this from the logical standpoint first. A lot of people will say that giving up on your diet is like slashing the other 3 tires in your car because you got a flat. But I actually think it's dumber than that. I think it's closer to slashing all the tires on an entire fleet of 18-wheelers because you got a single flat. Seriously, it is really that dumb. Now, for all my touchy-feely folks out there, I know it's frustrating. You're disappointed in yourself. You may be even ashamed that you went over your calorie goals or you overate for an entire week or month. I need you to just breathe and chill the fuck out with me, okay? You've been uncomfortable before and you're fine now. You're still here. And this occasional foray into the less than ideal situation, it's gonna pass. And when you get back on track with your next workout, your next meal, or you get another week of progress under your belt, you're gonna feel such a great sense of accomplishment. So that's where I want you to just focus your effort. What's next? How can we get back on track? Mistake number 4, I think, is really just a remnant of old school bodybuilding magazines or blogs. A lot of people still think that they need to avoid food seasonings in order to get lean. Sure, eating relatively bland and not super delicious foods can help you lose weight because they're just so much harder to overeat, and adding sauces and butter and oil acts as like food lube, which makes it easier to just put more food in your hole. But that doesn't mean you need to avoid salt or spices and just generally suffering on your diet. That doesn't give you any extra results. Same deal with low calorie condiments like mustard or soy sauce or low sugar barbecue sauce or no sugar added ketchup. All those things make the diet process a lot more enjoyable, and you don't have to be dogmatic about what's allowed and what's not. Same thing goes for all those low or 0 calorie treats that you can enjoy along the way, like diet soda, chewing gum, 0 calorie or low calorie jello, and low calorie ice cream like Halo Top. Honestly, as long as your total calories are under control, you're going to lose weight and you're going to lose a ton of fat, whether or not your food tastes amazing. This is a big part of the 4-point fat loss framework that I teach. Calories, protein, steps, and body weight. Those are 4 numbers you want to be looking at every day. If you want to learn how to shrink your waistline over the next 45 days without BS diets or supplements, I recommend checking out 4-point fat loss, linked in the description box below. Mistake number 5 is overdoing cardio. Now, every trainer out there will tell you that you can't outwork a bad diet. And I don't think that they're entirely wrong, but I recently learned that having vigorous sex burns 420 calories per hour. I have that right here. So in an effort to burn more fat during my recent diet, I started having sex every single day. But the problem was that I could only rack up about a total of 6 minutes throughout the week. That was a premature ejaculation joke for those who missed it. But for real, cardio is a huge help to burn extra calories when you're dieting for fat loss, but it has a few main limitations. If you are only relying on cardio to lose fat, time-wise, that's gonna take such a significant time investment every single week to see serious fat loss results. And we're talking about probably spending at least an hour on the treadmill every single day, and most people just can't really do that realistically. On top of that, if you were spending an hour every day, especially on like the treadmill or the stair climber or something like that, man, that's pretty fatiguing. That's gonna beat up your legs, it's gonna make you feel really hungry, it's gonna make you feel really tired. And ultimately, all this calorie burn that you're doing isn't really gonna help move the needle all that much if you are just going and overeating those calories later in the day. So we need to control the intake side of that calorie balance equation too, if we wanna see some real results. So you can't blindly rely on doing a ton of exercise if you wanna lose fat, but it would definitely help. Number 6 is letting your hunger get out of control. Most people are going to experience some degree of hunger. It's pretty much inevitable when you're losing weight. Some people are going to experience a little bit more hunger and some might experience a little bit less, but how much hunger you experience is actually largely up to you. If you're trying to lose fat too quickly, you're making poor food choices, or you're always just shoveling your face while watching TV, man, get ready to experience some serious hunger along the way. And hunger isn't just physically and psychologically uncomfortable. It can lead to overeating, which is just going to slow down how quickly you're actually seeing visual fat loss progress. I mean, imagine you are a priest and you're just trying to go about your holy duties in the cathedral every day. And all of a sudden, this big booty goth girl starts hanging out at the church. It's distracting, right? Oh, wait, this is not the perfect. Imagine a group of 12-year-old altar boys starts hanging out at the church every day. You're just trying to do your tasks, but all you can think about is these altar boys. And that's what it's like trying to diet for fat loss, and all you can think about is food. It just distracts you from doing the exact thing you need to do. I'm gonna make a more detailed video here soon about hunger, but just know that managing that impulse is so important for keeping you on the right track. And number 7 is a mistake I think just about everybody makes on their first handful of diets. I have clients I work with who in the first 2, 3, or 4 days of us working together are getting freaked out because they don't see the scale moving in the right direction as quickly as they want it to. They're like, man, what am I doing? Am I eating too many calories? Is my goal wrong? Should I be doing more cardio? Like, what's going on? Am I not active enough? Why did my weight go up today? But the reality is that the scale's just not going to decrease linearly, probably, even though you want it to. It might hover and then drop every week like that, or it might just ping pong up and down, but overall move in the right direction you want to. The basic thing that you can do to help you overcome this scale anxiety is to look at the average of 1 week of weigh-ins and then compare it to the next week's average of weigh-ins. Looking at the difference of those two numbers will give you a really clear indication of how you're doing on your weight loss progress. And please just don't freak out if things aren't changing as fast as you want. Be patient, stay consistent, keep doing the things you know you need to be doing to move yourself in the right direction, and I promise things will work out. Number 8, we'll just call calorie chaos. If I had to pick 2 things that people who say calorie tracking doesn't work for them have in common most frequently, it's these things. Number 1, they set their calorie goal way too low, and they just try and come out too hot out of the gate. And number 2 is they fiddle around or adjust their calorie goals way too frequently. This is the weight loss chart for my client David. He's lost about 20 pounds since we started working together. We started him on 1900 calories on day 1, and we haven't adjusted it a single time. And you're wondering, well, why haven't they adjusted it? We haven't needed to. He's losing weight, he's able to hit that calorie goal consistently, and he's feeling fine from a hunger, mood, and energy standpoint. And as long as you're hitting those 3 things, there is no reason to adjust your calories. And part of that is because we selected a reasonable calorie goal to start with, something like 500 to 700 calories below what he burns each day. It's always better to start out slow, and you can gradually ramp things up later. If you try coming out too hot, you're just gonna crash and burn. And you can scroll back in the video earlier for a premature ejaculation joke so I don't have to make it again. Number 9 is one you're not gonna hear from a lot of coaches online. Losing fat requires a good amount of focus, and if you lack that focus, you're gonna struggle. When you get hungry and it's time to eat a meal, you have to have a certain level of awareness and focus to choose foods that help you get closer towards your goal. When your friend invites you out for pub night, there's this moment where you could either forget about your goals or you could make a decision that aligns with the thing that you're working towards, and that requires focus. When you've been losing weight for a week or 2 or 3, and it starts to get a little bit boring and old and you start to kind of get tired of it, you have to hold that goal in your mind as a focal point in order to keep working towards it. Successful fat loss is about stringing together a series of good decisions that move you towards your goal. That requires micro focus for day-to-day activities like hitting your calorie goal and hitting your step goal, and macro focus for keeping the goal and staying the course when things get tough or boring and frustrating. What's one mistake you've made in the past when it comes to weight loss? Leave it in the comment section below so we can all kind of learn from each other. I know personally I've made enough mistakes to write a short book about, which I did. It's called Recomp 101. It's my free guide to losing fat while building muscle. You can grab that linked in the description box. There's even an audiobook version so you can listen while you go for a walk if you want to. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you liked it, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.